Hello, good morning. This is the Space Junkie Takeover. What about it, channel? How are you doing, people? Hope you are relaxed with the space stuff that's going on lately. We are trying to cover some of the Starship developments, but as you might suggest or reckon, there is not much happening. So we're gonna try to color this show with other stuff, and we try to paint some sort of contrast, and probably you will appreciate the Starship developments even more by the end of the show. And I got David here with me. Hello, David.
Hi, Sabi. Hello, everyone all around the world. Yeah, so our task is a bit hard because, as Sabi mentioned, nothing much happening around Starbase, but we try to stay around SpaceX team and SpaceX stories. So hopefully it won't be a boring show anyway.
Indeed, indeed. So we thought that we're gonna summarize what happened in 2025 in terms of SpaceX. We're gonna cover Falcon 9 and we're gonna cover Starship, and probably for us being Hungarians, and obviously in the shadow of the axiom formation, allow us to start with the axiom formation because they just undocked from the International Space Station. We were watching it live, and it's very important to us because after 45 years we had another Hungarian going to space. You would reckon that Hungary does not have a very long stretching sort of space history, but you might be wrong about that because we were the seventh nation to go to space.
Mhm.
Part of the Intercosmos program, we had one astronaut called Bertalan Farkas, and he managed to go to the Salyut station. So that was 45 years ago. And okay, we had Charles Simonyi, a Hungarian born but American person who sort of paid for the journey to go to space, and he went to the International Space Station twice, actually, in 2007 and 2009. But he wasn't a so-called research astronaut. But Tibor Kapu is. So officially, he is the second Hungarian research astronaut and the first research astronaut on the International Space Station. So a lot
Right.
happened, right?
Yeah, and as we all the time highlight, we don't know whether Tibor is the first and the last Hungarian flew to the ISS because,
Hmm.
as we all know, the ISS time is almost over. Of course, there are some years left, but since Hungary couldn't, or Hungary doesn't have so much or so many options or opportunities to send astronauts to space or to the ISS, that's why it's quite an interesting question whether somebody else will follow Tibor's footsteps on the ISS. But who knows? Yeah, and that's why it's a very important thing that from the so the AX crew members in total took with themselves around 60 experiments, and from these 60 experiments, there were 25 Hungarian. So the Hungarian science community, let's say as a one word, they were quite how to say positive around the Heuer program, and very positive side, and yeah, they focused on the experiments so in so different ways, and there are so many exciting and very interesting experiments what Tibor conducted on the ISS. And of course we don't know the let's say
Outcome
the
yet.
outcomes,
Mm.
but of course, as we all hope, the positive side of these experiments will be not only in short term but in long term as well.
Mhm.
And yeah, just as you mentioned, Szabi Bertalan Farkas, he spent around 8 days in at the Salyut 6 space station, but Tibor had the opportunity to stay for almost for 19 days, sorry, so 19 days. which
Just
of
over two
course,
weeks. Yeah.
yeah, just over 2 weeks. And yeah, actually they got some more day because of they lengthened quite a bit this story on the ISS, or this mission, better to say. So he made us proud. I think so. I can say uh, on behalf of the entire country, because it was a so big opportunity and a so big chance to put the so small country as Hungary back to this to the map of the space industry, space travel. So it's a very good thing for Hungary.
And also, to be fair, it's not just the national pride we want to we cover here, although that's very important, I guess, for all the countries that was taking part, so India and Poland, and obviously Peggy Whitson is American. But I think the cooperation is so nice, and being part of it is mainly because we've seen so many people from so many different countries. On these pictures, you can't see the Russian crew, but at the farewell ceremony, they were there, and they were giving a huge hug for the whole Axiom mission members. So I think it is just a nice gesture, and it's so nice that the commercial side of space travel is taking off now. Axiom was doing the fourth mission, and I guess it's just gonna go higher and higher, and more countries who do not have the access to space will have access to space. So I think that's a fantastic outcome. We forgot to mention at the beginning that A, this is a live program, and B, nothing is getting launched today. So
Or tested.
don't expect that, but this is just a light sort of conversational program, and we try to cover stuff related to space, at least what's close to us. And I think it's easy to segue from Axiom formation to what happened this year. And let's start with Falcon 9, because Falcon 9 is doing an
That's the
incredible.
bright side of the story.
That's absolutely, yeah. We this is Ying or
Yeah,
Yang.
that's the yin,
Yeah,
and
that's the
Starship
Yin.
is young.
Okay, let's see what happened this year, because they are not wasting any time whatsoever.
Yeah, so uh, if I had to summarize the Falcon 9 um, in one word, it's records. That would be the proper word of the this what SpaceX has achieved with Falcon 9 only this year, and only on in first half of 2025. So just breaking records all the time with reusability, with with the launch pad turnaround time, with almost with everything. And yeah, we are talking about a private company, so it's not
Hmm.
like NASA or anything else all around the world as an agency, but it's a private company who achieved these quite big numbers. So compared to anyone else, they are just far from everybody else. So
Absolutely, absolutely.
so in terms of the numbers, which we have to just see the figures and the statistics, and they show and everything. So of course we will mention some figures or numbers or the records as well. But yeah, just as general, we could see that the first half of 2025 it was more successful as SpaceX expected, maybe.
Hmm.
In terms of Falcon 9, of course, I have to highlight, because we will talk about the Starship, and they are these Starship launches weren't the most successful things, but now we are focusing on the Falcon 9.
Hmm.
Okay, so yeah, in total there were 81 launches. Of course, just for Falcon 9, because there weren't any Falcon Heavies, unfortunately, because maybe all of us is is liking to see a Falcon Heavy launch, but so unfortunately there weren't anything so far this year, and I think there won't be any, but I'm not sure in this. But anyway, there were more than 80 launches for the Falcon 9, and only China could just closing a bit with 36 launches in total. But as we know, in China there are so big differences. I mean, in diversity of the private companies and compared to the American companies. So that's why it's even more important that only one private company in the US could launch more than almost the 60% of the total orbital launches so far in this year. So it's quite a huge number, almost 60%.
Yep.
And yeah, just a couple of things at the
45 seconds.
For example,
Falcon
the
9 is
mass-to-orbit,
tracking no issues and our
numbers.
payload is
So
healthy.
SpaceX
Now, Falcon 9 has been loading
launched,
propellant since the
more
T-minus
than
35-minute mark, and it'll finish
1,100
loading up to
tons.
around the T-minus
And,
2-minute mark.
The second one is the ULA with
Quick reminder there, if for some reason we do not launch today, we do have a backup opportunity tomorrow at 5:04 p.m. Eastern Time.
SpaceX 1,123,000.
Now, coming up next in the countdown,
ULA
the transporter
30,000.
erector.
RP1 load complete.
So
Good call out there for
it's
stage 1
hard
RP
to-
loading
hard to
completion.
compare because,
Next up in the countdown,
yeah, these numbers are very different. And and if you're talking about
just before you go on, it's really hard to comprehend how things has changed compared to like 10 years ago when ULA was the big fish and SpaceX was the small fish, and SpaceX was launching like 5 times and ULA like 15 times, and now it didn't just spin around, and ULA is launching a couple of times a year and SpaceX is like 50, but they are intending to do what, 170 launches this year.
Around that, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they did not just double or triple, they like pulled away from everybody globally. Like over like 90%, I think, of all the mass is launched by SpaceX to space. I mean, this is
These are crazy numbers,
wild.
And of course, we know that it's almost the most times are Starlink launches, but anyway, they had to be launched as well. So it's not like it's a very easy thing to launch an orbital rocket successful. So okay, and it's a very interesting thing that the last failure of the Falcon 9s was in last July, so July 2024, and since then there were 148 missions conducted successful, so in a row. But before this last failure back in July 2024, 2024, what was the number, Szabi? I
335.
Yeah, 335
without any
in
problems. Yeah, like without any failure at all.
Yeah, and these failures came up quite frequently from last July. So maybe there were some speculations that maybe it's not accidentally like that, but anyway, the SpaceX engineers could solve every problems, but because there were problems with the first stage, there were problems with the second stage, but anyway, everything was solved for fortune. And since last July, there weren't any problems with the rockets, so it's quite nice. And one more to highlight that the last mission, which was an Israeli satellite, that was the 500 launch in overall for the Falcon 9. Only for the Falcon 9, because if you are watching the entire Falcon family, so Falcon 1, Falcon Heavy, and Falcon 9, there are of course more than 500 launches already. But just focusing on the Falcon 9, that was the 500th mission, successful mission. So it's a very huge, very huge number again. And continuing with the records, of course, the most frequent or the most used Falcon 9 launched or flew already 29 times. So it's almost almost 3 times as they expected previously. So back to around, I don't know, 2018 or around that, they expected to launch every Falcon 9 first stage around 10 times. And now we are almost 30 times for one single Falcon 9. So it's total crazy as well. And continuing the records about the launch pads turnarounds, the Slick 40 was just going crazy this half of this year, because of course the previous record wasn't too high at all, because that was 2 days 8 hours 59
You'll hear
minutes,
the final
and
go
that
no go
was
from our launch director.
broken for 2 days 8 hours and 31 minutes, so about 28 minutes
launch director, go for launch.
Less.
And great call out there.
If we are comparing the others who are launching, I don't know, in every month or every 2 months, it's quite crazy that SpaceX launched from Slick 40 2 days and 8 hours turnaround time. So yeah, these numbers are total crazy. And
before you go, I was just joking about it. This is not, it's a Space Launch Complex 40, which is a Slick 40, but I think we're gonna nickname it to Sick 40 because the cadence is absolutely mad. We just came back home from Florida 2 weeks ago, and while I was there, during that 1 month, we've seen 10 rocket launches, and from that 10 rocket launches, 9 was SpaceX. And I think from that 9 launches, the majority was from Slick 40. And there was a there was a period when like 2 or 3 days apart they were launched. I mean, the cadence is sick, really.
2 days, 8 hours, 31 minutes.
Yeah,
that's the record.
The turnaround. Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, what SpaceX is doing with the Falcon 9 rockets is truly amazing. And the reason why we talk about this and we want you to understand what SpaceX is doing with this is because this is exactly what they're trying to achieve with Starship. So this is the goal. This is where they are heading. And if they can do this with a semi-reusable rockets, then you can imagine how it can sort of move toward the needle towards the rapid reusability, because we've been there, we've seen that it's relatively straightforward. When the drone ship comes back and they start pulling the legs up, it's like a couple of hours, one pair, and then another couple of hours, another pair, and then they just move it out from the port yard, what is it called, the harbor, and they just go take it to refurbishment. With Starship, this is not what they are planning to do, right?
Yeah. And of course, these more than 80 launches or missions weren't just Starlinks, so in-house launches. But what's quite interesting is that there were more competitor launches conducted by SpaceX. So, for example, they launched these O3b mPOWER internet satellites for the SES, so the Luxembourg-based SES company, or they will launch quite soon the Project Kuiper satellites, so the first batch of the operational satellites. So because the first 2 demo satellites were launched as well by SpaceX Falcon 9, but these will be the first operational satellites. And quite interesting that the big competitor Amazon asked SpaceX to help them out, because they are quite they have quite a big backlog, and if they can't build up the half of the planned satellite or the constellation, I think it's 1,800 about, so they have to put on orbit these 1,800 satellites around July 2026. So they have to be rushed. And of course, there are some other companies. So, for example, ULA or Blue Origin or Arianespace, which won some launches.
Also
but
Israel.
of course, everyone is struggling with their rockets a bit. So ULA with Vulcan, Arianespace with Ariane 6, Blue Origin with New Glenn. So nothing is too bright for Amazon, and that's why it's quite interesting to that they asked SpaceX, the big competitor, to help them out.
They have to do whatever they can, to be honest, because they are squeezed with deadlines. So that's
right.
Yeah. I mean, you just swallow your pride and you just go for it, whatever it takes, because it's a necessity for them. So yeah.
And maybe just for one, if we are talking about the Starlink, or we talked about the Starlink missions, in total there were more than 1,000 Starlink V2 minis launched and put on orbit. And there were almost 80 Starshield satellites launched. So these Starshields are the military version of the Starlinks. So that's for the USSF, so for the Space Force. But anyway, more than 1,000 satellites to be launched, and of course to be manufactured. That's a quite nice and successful, how to say, number. And you can move on, Sabina. I don't want to talk in the entire show.
Cool. Okay. Good. Okay. So we have a photo. Let's show it to you, because that's another segue from Falcon 9. Thank you for 3D Daniel. 3D Daniel just placed one Falcon 9 inside a super heavy, or the booster, Starship booster, and you can see roughly how tall the booster it is itself. And the reason why we are showing you this is because lately there was some movement of a big tube. This is what it looks like. and this is, I mean, we've seen,
this isn't a Falcon 9.
No, we've seen some crazy stuff so far in terms of the Starship program, but what I mean, when SpaceX just shared these photos, this is alone something that I think, if Starship did not blow your mind yet, this should be that moment, the penny drop moment, when you must say that this is insane. This is just beyond sanity, because this is the transfer tube for the new booster design, and this is as wide, or almost as wide, as a Falcon 9.
Almost, because this tube is around 3 meters wide in diameter, and Falcon 9 is 3.9 meters. So let's say that the 75%.
So there is,
but that's the height of the first stage, I think. So around 50 meters.
Yeah, it's beyond comprehension. I think there's no other way to interpret this than just pure craziness, because I think there is nothing like this, and I don't know how are they gonna manage this. I mean, there is this comparison. This is a Russian figure. It's called Matryoshka figure. You can put one into each other. So like all these smaller ones fit to the next one and the next one and the next one. Well, this is what it feels like when it comes to this transfer tube, because it's so damn big. I mean, look at that.
That's a rocket in a rocket. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So so we were not sure, right, that if this is the header tank, but the booster does the boost. Before, were there any header tanks in the boosters?
Yes, there were, but they were much smaller. Yeah.
Where were they?
They were attached to the aft dome, so the oxygen bottom dome.
Gotcha. Okay. I was not sure.
But it's a bit different design now.
yeah, Ted, different. Yeah. So
I think it's a 2-in-1, right? So if I'm right. So it's a transfer tube. So it's a downcomer and a header tank in one.
Unreal. Unreal. They must have the reason why they changed to this one, but that's for sure that it looks pretty damn cool.
Yeah, hopefully it will do the trick, because otherwise they have to redesign everything, and that will be painful.
Well, yeah. And let's see what happens in terms of Starship. And at the end of the show, we're gonna come with some news regarding to what happened lately. Although there's not a lot, but at least we will cover whatever happened. So what happened this year in terms of Starship? And it's not gonna be a pretty story for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Compared to the Falcon 9, it's black and white. As if I have to summarize,
rather black than white. Yeah.
So yeah, SpaceX introduced the new generation, so the V2 or Block 2 versions of the Starship, and yeah, maybe the expectations were a bit too much high because of the previous successful missions with the V1 or Block 1 versions, and everyone just focused, okay, SpaceX will do everything nice in 2025, the goals will be achieved, and they can be very successful in the entire year. And now and after the successful V2 flights, the brand new V3 can come. But yeah, the life thought different, or better to say, the yeah, the life was changed, and yeah, the failures came up quite frequently, and there were different failures, and maybe that's the biggest problem of SpaceX, that, as we mentioned in the previous shows, no one or nothing of the V2 versions could perform an entire and correct test flight.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that which is already to the ground, or facing to the ground, that that SpaceX can't perform an exact and entire duration static fire with the ships, and that's quite a big deal and big problem, because otherwise they could have figured out previously or already earlier, or they could have focused these problems with this resonance, with the harmonic resonance of the V2 versions, and but since there isn't a proper test site with proper capacity, it was a hidden problem or hidden failure, and they launched twice with the same problem or almost the same problem. And of course, I'm mentioning the ship 33 and 34, which were the first and the second family member of the V2 version. And then ship 35 came, and everybody thought that, okay, SpaceX could solve this problem with the harmonic resonance, but a totally different problem was coming up, and of course they lost, unfortunately, S35, but at least they reached a bit later or higher as the previous test flights. But anyway, it wasn't a successful test anyway, so that's the biggest problem, that they couldn't perform a 100% successful test flight. And yeah, it was almost a month ago, around, I don't know which day, but around second half of June, this very static fire test with S36, and yeah, maybe no one thought that something could come up like what happened with S36, but yeah, it was just blowing up because of a failed COPV test tank, not test tank, but tank, sorry. And yeah, it was just a moment that maybe SpaceX thought that, okay, we have to now stop, check everything, because something is very wrong. Not only with the design, but with the small details, because no one thought that this problem could came up with the COPV, but it happened anyway. So it was a quite big negative surprise for the SpaceX engineers. And of course, they not only lost Ship 36, but the test site, so the massive outpost, was damaged quite a lot. And the reconstruction or the cleaning up will take more months, not only more couple of weeks, but more months. And now the most positive expectations say that they can return to the massive site for static fires only in October, around in October. But that's the most positive expectation again. And some others say that maybe the entire second half is gone in terms of static fire at the masses. So SpaceX engineers had to think about something or figure out something, and that's this strange adapter on which we have talked about last week. But yeah, as summary, SpaceX couldn't step forward too much with the Starship program, and it's not only a bad news for them, but for NASA as well, because of the Artemis program.
Yeah, they are not in a good position. I think if you watch the last week's conversation we had, or the last week's program, which you can rewatch on What About It Plus. So that's the second channel for What About It. Then you can you. I mean, I'm just gonna repeat what we said, but it's they are not in an easy position, because this year is everything but a success. And to be fair, the problem is that they are in a tough position, because they have a booster that's very promising. I think it's how the second stage is performing is completely overshadowing how successful the booster is.
Yeah,
because the booster is doing just fine. They already had one reflown booster. That's, I think, alone incredible, because people had serious doubts about the booster capability of landing back to the launch site. So that's absolutely crazy. And since then, we constantly just talk about problems, and we talk about negative stuff. And unfortunately, there is nothing else we can talk about apart from Pad B. But that's still a promise that needs to be fulfilled. It's not tested. We did not see how how is it going to do in real life. It looks very promising. We sincerely hope that it will fulfill the expectations, but at the moment they are in a very tough position, and hopefully we're going to see some success in the second part of the year, because they need
the clock
it.
is running.
Yeah, they need it. They need it. We don't want to keep on repeating ourselves from show to show, but yeah, time is running. America is planning to going back to moon. There are massive Mars plans, and launching a Starship successfully is essential. I mean, I did not reinvent the wheel right now. That's quite obvious that without successful launches, there is nothing. There is none from these plans gonna be coming true. So if they can't figure, I mean, they will at some point, but the question is that how much time they need for that, and how many failures they need for that.
Yeah, and the other big question that how they can come out from this quite big risk, what they are playing with the Pad A currently, because that's the only one, only one launch pad what they can use for orbital launches or suborbital launches. And if something happens during S37's or 38's static fire, and I don't want to continue the sentence. So if we have to just think about what could happen if this OLMA or Pad A or Pad 1, it doesn't matter how to call, would be damaged just a bit, that they have to again reconstruct 4 months. Just think about the flight 1 or IFT-1. What happened after that or during that, and they and the engineers or the entire SpaceX team needed almost 7 months to replace everything and reconstruct everything. Of course, I know
to bury the hole that the Starship was digging.
Yeah, they dig the big hole around the OLM. So of course I know that these ship static fires won't be so powerful and so energetic like the booster static fires. But anyway, like if you are thinking about this strange adapter which they are working on currently, and these pipe sections and the frames and everything, like that MacGyver style, it's quite strange, and I try to stay positive, but it's quite strange that of course they are building now everything up for the S-37 static fire. Then they will put everything.
They need to tear it down, and then for the launch, and then they need to rebuild it again, and then tear it down again.
Yeah. And I just
I really liked your idea that you were suggesting in our community, that why they're not finishing ship 38 as well, doing the static fire for both, and then they tear it down, and then they're just gonna launch it whenever they launch. But it means that it means that we try to know it better than SpaceX.
And of course we don't want to know better, and of course we don't know where S-38 is currently in terms of manufacturing or preparing for static fire. As we could see, they sent the Raptors for S-37, so it's almost ready or ready-ish. Let's say that, and the plan is, and the SpaceX plan is still to static fire S-37 still in this month. And if I just checking the date, it's we are at the half of July, and they are still preparing everything. So not only the ship, but the launch pad, or not the launch pad, but the test pad, and I just can't imagine how they will come up from this.
Yeah. The problem is that once we entered this new phase of development, this is not the SN testing sort of territory anymore, because with that one, it's kind of you could get away with stuff. So you had the test stand A and B, right? So they were just smaller test stands, and the tank farm weren't as big as today. So I guess if there is a similar to Messi's style explosion right there on OLM or the Pad A or Pad B, that will affect the tank farm. Probably not, because it didn't take the tank farm with it on Messi's. But if it's a full stack and that blows up, not even fully fueled, half fueled, then that can go absolutely wrong, and it can render the area to near to zero, and that's a setback you have. Because yes, in Florida the construction is going very well. We just saw a photo in a tent that the launch pad is coming. This mobile launch pad is coming together nicely. They're building it. The launch pad itself is being built. The flame trench and the service tower, the platform, the chopsticks, everything is coming nicely together. But they cannot test there. There's no way that they will ever allow the Starship to be tested in Florida. Once it's ready, and once it's ready to go, then yes, probably they're gonna get, well, that's the plan, to get the launch permit. But up until it's not proven that it's not gonna blow up, they're not gonna let it go anywhere near Florida. So this is their place. this is where they need to make it happen.
Yeah, and currently they have not only one test pad, but only one launch pad, as I mentioned. So it's quite risky to play.
Yeah. I mean, the other one is coming nicely together. And how far do you think they are with it?
Let's say if they can launch still this year, at the very end of this year, then they are lucky. But there are
Jonathan, can we show the photos, please? Just we are showing the pad B. Thank you. Yeah, sorry.
So yeah, as you mentioned, Szabi, everything is coming along nicely, but still there are some work to do. And the other thing, when the first V3 booster with the first V3 ship will be ready. So it's not only about the launch pad, but the hardware. So
because the compatibility with the V2 and V ships and boosters, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the current versions are not compatible with the Pad B, and the new boosters, so the V3 boosters, won't be compatible with the currently operating Pad A.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why they have to be in rush with the construction of Pad B, because they have to be ready until booster 18. So the first V3 booster, super heavy booster, will be ready. But yeah, rumor has it that the progressing with the Raptor 3 is not going so well as they want it or they expected, and that's another story or the other problem, because as we all know now, the 3x3, so the that's the 3x3 story, as I calling it. So the V3 booster and V3 ships will get the V3 Raptors. So that's why everything is 3x3. So until this new Raptor engine is not reliable, they can't use it for mass production, and but they will need very very much Raptor 3 if they want to focus on mass production of the ships. And of course they will construct some boosters, but because they want to reuse them, maybe they won't construct so many as ships. So yeah, it's another question how the new engines will perform. And yeah, that's why I mentioning that if they can launch from Pad B still in this year, then it's a great success, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I'm just checking if there is any question we can talk about. If you have any question, chat, please just let us know and we will try our very best to answer them. We got one more topic to talk about, and that's the air separation unit. Felix was talking about it last week, I think.
Maybe Tuesday.
I think that was the Tuesday episode. Yeah. If you haven't watched any of those episodes, please do, because on every Tuesdays and Fridays, Felix is bringing out some really cool space news. And these slideshows gonna be, or these screenshots, better to say, is coming from those. So let's start with the fact that how much fuel these stages needed. So I think this is the full mass, right? A fully fueled.
That's the propellant mass.
It's just the propellant mass.
Or propellant capacity, right?
So altogether, because it's altogether is 5. Yeah, we did that conversation. It's coming back now. So it's 5,000.
The dry mass.
Yeah, so altogether it's 5,400 tons, and just the propellant is 4,900. So the left, so kind of 500 tons is the two stages together, the dry mass. So this is the propellant, and just for the booster they require exactly 3,834 tons of oxygen, and in the long run that's quite a task. As Felix was saying, that requires 160 tanker trucks. So that's quite a lot, because
that's a lot.
one can only bring 24 tons. So these are big lorries or trucks, but not big enough, to be fair. And on the long run, SpaceX definitely would try to tackle this issue, because this is just such a logistical nightmare. And if they really want to ramp up the launching cadence, this is not feasible whatsoever. So they need to come up with a better solution, and luckily they have, because they have a designated area which they moved from. Let me just find that photo, because we had a broader photo of the two. So originally they were planning next to OLM, the Pad B, so somewhere here, but it's the quality is a bit choppy. But now they came up with a better solution. So they're going to move this area down to the beach, and probably that's a good idea.
Yeah, it's quite wise. It was a wise, nice idea to move this whole infrastructure out of the out of the launch complex. Yeah, and of course it takes time to build everything up, but at least they have the plans for it.
Absolutely.
And as we all know, the Starbase is all around the building up and tearing down something.
Yes, exactly.
To be in balance.
Yeah. So they have this air separation plant in plans, and hopefully they're gonna build it in here, and they just need to lay down some pipes and just feed the tank farm from there. Because to be fair, the easiest way is just to get it from the air. They have enough air over there, just like everywhere on planet Earth, and that's definitely a long-term solution for sure. And let's hope that's gonna unfold nicely. The plans are there, and hopefully that's gonna go ahead, because they're gonna need a lot of oxygen, to be fair.
Yeah, because they need the cadence, the quite high cadence of the launches at the Starbase and in Florida as well, once they are ready for launch. But currently, there are rather the paperwork is done for Starbase only. So of course, the this EIS, if I'm correct, is ongoing for Florida as well. So these environmental inspections and every paperwork from the authorities, but that's why they are needing, or they are focusing still for Starbase, because at Florida there are some other let's say factors which are focusing. So for example, the NASA launch complexes, so 39B and of course 39A, which is needed for the crew launches, and of course the environmental things are quite different in Florida compared to the Starbase. So that's why SpaceX needs a quite proper air separation unit at the Starbase as well, to ramp up the cadence and to collect some flight data, because otherwise they just can't move on, and they can't step forward with the V3 booster and ship constructions and so on.
We got a great question in the chat. So Michael Ferenczi, I reckon you have some Hungarian relatives or ascendants. How many more launches do you think it will take to get it right and have successful vehicle? Ekij, again, I feel like I'm butchering your name. Please tell us how to pronounce it. Was actually answering defined successful. They've already had success, simulated landing with Block 1. Do you mean a ship catch? A ship catch with no heat shield rework required? Let me answer, because I think I have the same sort of doubts, or I think the successful means successfully staying on orbit without blowing up and then successfully returning to Earth, meaning that it's getting caught or just lands on the sea or whatever. It doesn't matter. The most important bit that they have a reliable second stage that can do the job, i.e., not blowing up and taking some payload to Earth, low Earth orbit. That's it. So that's, for me, already a success. What's going to follow after that, so what we see on the photo, that's another story. That's next to successful launch, because this is pretty much super required for future, because without this, we all know there is no moon and there is no Mars. So
no, nothing, just Leo.
Yeah, that's it. Then we have a big rocket that can take huge payload to low Earth orbit, which alone, that's already huge. But I think SpaceX has different future for Starship, not just being a workhorse that can take huge masses to low Earth orbit, because the proposed plan is that 150 ton. That's that's a lot. So
Yeah.
the ISS is 420, 440 tons. So yeah, everybody just do the numbers and let's just imagine that something that can not 200, just 150. But I heard Elon Musk saying if it's expendable, that's gonna be like 300 tons. So yeah, that's
Yeah,
yeah.
I say okay, we'll see.
Yeah, that fulfills the definition of sick, I think.
Or
Pretty
unreal,
much.
yeah.
Yeah, or unreal. Yeah.
yeah.
So yeah, not blowing up and being reliable. I think that's the definition of successful.
Yeah, and soon they have to reach orbit anyway. So of course, these previous suborbital flights were needed, but they have to move on. And if they can't reach orbit, of course, everybody knows the end of the story. And yeah, it's quite hard to imagine or imagine how this second half of 2025 could be for SpaceX. So whether it will be successful or semi-successful or totally disaster, hopefully not the latter. But they have to just focus on the reliability, because that's the essence currently. Just one sentence, that they have two V2 ships left, and they have to move on for version 3 anyway, because they changed the lanes, so the production lanes already for the V3 versions, and they don't want to move back or turn back to the V2 versions anyway. So for example, what we can see on this render, the HLS version of the ship will be quite or highly I highly doubt that it will be V2, still V2, but it will be a V3 version of the Starships already. And that's why they have to move on for the V3 versions, because otherwise this HLS version won't be a real thing at all. And it's a good thing that at the Star Factory we could see the ship 43 nose cone, but it's only a nose cone yet, so it won't be a reliable vehicle just because we have already 6 nose cones in the lane. So we are eagerly waiting how this next month will look like. And of course, we are cheering for SpaceX, because everyone wants to see a successful Starship launch. and more frequent launches, of course, because it's quite nice to see how this monster just lifting off and how they can reach their targets.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, at least we could see some nice heat shield test anyway with the V3 versions or with the last V2 versions again. So yeah, we hope the best.
Yes. Make no mistake, we definitely cheer for success. So we're not here week by week to actually talk SpaceX down or doubt their plans. But we don't want to commit that mistake that we just keep on being the optimistic and it will be all right and they will resolve it, because the reality is reality. The time is ticking. There are plans that needs to come alive. Otherwise, there is no moon landing anytime soon. And if you want to rewatch our previous talk again on What About It Plus channel, because in the last episode we covered how SLS and Lunar Gateway, just like a phoenix, just reborn from the ashes and came back and they don't want to die out. And some people cheering for that, some people don't. I think we are in the latter group. We're not really too big fan of these two, but that's what they have. That's what they're gonna now spend some time on and money on, lots of money on, and for that they need the Starship and they need to make it happen. So we want it to fly. We love Starship launches. It's just the coolest thing ever, but they definitely have their problems on their hands, and we don't know how Ship 36 could have performed, because it's not its own fault to blow up, but definitely we did not see it happen, and the setback was even bigger than in the previous two flights. So we will see, and obviously we're cheering for the success. Yeah. And I think there's nothing else to do for us, just to say we will be back next week. Hopefully we can bring you some news. If not, we try to come up with something to talk about. And please be active in the chat. We really like to see your sort of thoughts and questions probably. And yeah, we can sort of interact and think about what's going on and what's ahead of us. Up until then, definitely watch the Tuesdays and Fridays episode from Felix, because this is the way to go if you want to know the newest and the coolest space news. And I think we will be back next week, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Coolio.
Yeah, this show will be accessible on Y Plus channel if I'm correct. So
I mentioned that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So nothing to add.
All right. Have a great week, guys, and we will be back next week. Up until then, have a lovely week, and please watch Axiom. Oh, one more thing, Axiom 4. Definitely.
Oh,
yeah. Watch it, because tonight, if you happen to live in Europe and you do have some space station flybys, tonight you might be able to see the Crew Dragon Grace trailing, I think, after the ISS. So if you like this kind of challenges, just go outside and watch 4 people traveling on a Crew Dragon trailing back behind the ISS, because that's just so cool. And tomorrow they're gonna come back and land, which we're gonna cover in Hungarian. So there's nothing for you to watch, because nobody speaks Hungarian, only Hungarians.
Of course, you are most welcome to watch us, but I don't think that you could understand anything.
Yeah. Anyway, have a lovely week, guys, and we will be back next week. Take care. See you next week.
Yeah. Next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.